Hey everyone, welcome to our vlog. Today we'll discuss about gender and media. Have you ever wondered how media influences the way we see gender? From news to social media, from movies to ads, media plays a huge role in shaping our perceptions. But why is this important, and how do different media platforms influences the way we see gender or influences and shape gender in our society? I've invited some of my classmates to break it down to all of you. Let's get started.
When we watch the news or read articles, we often see men being a leader and women being underrepresented. This reinforces gender roles that limit opportunities to everyone. Diverse media is key for breaking the stereotypes. Take a look at how political leaders are shown in media. How many women do you see in the position of power compared to men? This affects how young people view leadership roles. Representation in media can inspire or limit someone's potential. It's about making sure everyone, regardless of gender, can see themselves as leaders and equal contributors to society.
The researcher created an online survey using Google Forms with 8 questions which are open-ended.
Do you think that gender is represented well in the media? 70% answered no, 15% answered yes, and 15% answered maybe.
When asked for their reasons, most answered that it's because discrimination and stereotypes exist in the media. There exists a perceived inequality of the gender portrayals.
Media is communication channels through which news, entertainment, education, data, or promotional messages are disseminated. Media includes every broadcasting and narrowcasting mediums such as newspapers, magazines, TV, radio, billboards, direct mail, telephone, fax, and internet.
Gender refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. This includes norms, behaviors, and roles associated with being a woman, man, girl, or boy, as well as relationships with each other. As a social construct, gender varies from society to society and can change over time.
George Gerbner proposed that constant exposure to the media can influence people's perception of their reality.
In the Philippine setting, it is stated that on average consumers spent 4.9 hours per week watching television and 2.5 hours on listening to the radio.
A study that discusses where there is an unequal gender representation in Filipino storybooks for children. In this analysis, it revealed that males were portrayed in active roles based on the use of verb elements.
In mainstream cinema, there continues to be a proliferation of movies which show prominent portrayals of gays or homosexuals, but it largely remains to be within the parameters of the aforementioned of the flamboyant gay stereotype. Stereotype is a standardized mental picture that is held in common by members of a group and that represents an oversimplified opinion, prejudiced attitude, or uncritical judgment.
Women as sex objects who are usually young, thin, beautiful, passive, dependent, and often incompetent and dumb. Female characters devote their primary energies to improving their appearances and taking care of homes and people. Women are stereotyped in the media. They are portrayed in roles confined to the domestic sphere. We often hear these in TV and radio commercials, films, sitcoms, telenovelas. They are depicted always as moms preparing food for the family, doing the laundry work, or objects of desire for males drinking liquor, and so on. We never see women being represented beyond these roles.
According to the respondents, women's portrayal is quite limited. They mention stereotypes such as being feminine, submissive, and often matched with their traditional gender roles in the household. In addition, looks and sexual image describe the female character.
Men have had a more varied range of representations in media since the past, mostly because it was men who wrote the narratives. However, most still fell into either the macho hero or evil villain stereotypes. There are a lot of media which are male-centric, oftentimes portraying them as strong, charming, smart, and a whole lot of positive, manly attributes. These perfect, male characters in my opinion become quite stable since they are all the same and only encourage sexist notions. That is why when I see male characters who show their emotional and caring sides, I am delighted. However, there aren't many portrayals of these characters in the media that I come across.
How does the media represent men? Respondents answered that men are typically viewed in a better and positive light than other genders. Masculinity is portrayed as a good quality along with labels such as protectors and leaders.
How does the media represent the LGBTQ? In this question, the most often answered was it is limited to gays and lesbians. They said that it is underrepresented and if portrayed it is always the flamboyant types that's used for entertainment. One respondent said that gender-sensitive language is lacking in the radio stations. Genders are not represented well in the Philippine media. Based on the analysis of the answers from the survey, there is a prevalent gender stereotypes that exists in the media.
Social media has changed how we talk about gender. Hashtag like MeToo and hashtag Break the Bias have sparked important conversation around equality. But also, social media spread stereotypes, body shaming, and unrealistic expectations, especially for the young people. It's a platform that amplifies both positive and negative messages. So we need to think critically about the content we share and consume, and also social media can be a powerful tool in gender equality. And then, but it's also our responsibility to call out the harmful stereotype. So what we see in online can affect our understanding about gender in the real world. It is empower us or limit us.
How media affects gender role development. Media is any kind of communication that we hear or see. Different kinds of media include what we watch on TV, read in the newspaper and magazines, or what we hear on the radio. Even things we see on the internet. Gender roles are an idea of how people just like you are expected to behave as boys and girls. A few gender role expectations for girls include being considerate, gentle, and home-oriented. A few gender role expectations for boys include being strong, brave, and a leader. Negative effects of media include those such as females are supposed to be attractive, which endangers the self-esteem and health of many young girls that grow up thinking that to be accepted by others, they must be pretty. Also, younger children can be vulnerable to social learning from television, although older children can be immune. Research shows that the more we watch the media, the more we begin to see and think that these things are real, even if they're not. An example of how media shows gender roles is that men are supposed to be the provider, or the person who goes to work and earns money. An example of how media shows gender roles in women is that women are supposed to be the caregiver, or the person who takes care of children, cooks, and cleans. But really, your media relationship is an entry point to the world and your rights, such as education, freedom of expression, self-respect, and protection. Men can be the caregiver. Women can be the provider. In reality, we can be anything we want to be, regardless of what the media shows.
Marketing plays a huge role in shaping gender expectation. For years, we've seen companies use pink for girls, blue for boys. But thankfully, more brands are embracing gender-neutral advertising, showing that everyone can enjoy the same product and opportunities without limitation. Take the example of Toy Boys. How many times have we seen commercial where toys for girls are all about nurturing and beauty, while toys for boys are about adventure or sports? This reinforces outdated gender roles. More companies are breaking free from this now, but there's still progress to be made.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, and their tears are filling up their glasses. No expression, no expression. Mad world, mad world.
Movies and TV show influence our idea about gender. If women are always portrayed as secondary character and men as heroes, it affects how we see gender in real life. We need more strong, diverse female and LGBTQ+ leads in movies and TV to truly reflect the world we live in.
How pop culture films affect gender archetypes. Gender archetypes pervade life, existing even in the film and media industries. They often influence our daily experiences. Pop culture's mission is to dismantle gender archetypes, ending the harmful notions of strictly masculine men and feminine women. What are gender archetypes? This term portrays stereotypical roles attributed to different genders, particularly seen in movie character archetypes. An example is the damsel in distress, a female character dependent on a man, reflecting societal norms of the 1900s. Pop culture and gender archetypes. Popular culture challenges gender archetypes, aiming to dismantle long-standing gender roles like men's jobs and women's roles. Promoting gender neutrality asserts equality between men and women. Film's influence on gender archetypes shapes societal views and stereotypes significantly. Despite continued portrayal of gender stereotypes, many movies now actively strive to challenge and redefine these roles. Outdated stereotypes like helpless damsels and inept fathers require modern reevaluation. Harmful ones include sexualized victims, loud women of color, and villainous female bosses. There are also encouraging trends in pop culture, with films showcasing different, non-stereotypical gender archetypes. Examples include Ocean's 8, where strong women take center stage, and the rise of men in cooking shows. Knowledge of film's influence on gender norms empowers advocacy efforts for more accurate, positive, and diverse representations in media.
Mainstream media often overlooks gender issues, which is why independent platforms like blogs and podcasts are so important. They allow people to share personal stories about gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and breaking stereotypes. We can also create content to raise awareness. Independent media is key in bringing voices from marginalized communities to the forefront. Blogs and online content give us the freedom to explore topics that mainstream media might overlook or misrepresent. Whether it's a personal story or in-depth article, independent media allows for honest conversation about gender that challenge the status quo.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We're back at the SDG Media Zone. We're coming live from the UN General Assembly, where we saw the general debate kick off this morning, and it's the second day of the SDG Summit. It's my pleasure to introduce the next panel, who are going to look at social impact and gender, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Janine at UN Women. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be on stage with three amazing women, who I look forward to introducing. But first of all, let's dive right in. We're announcing the launch today of In Bloom, a series of 5 short films that are looking at the complex gender issues from around the world. It's a female-led process with female filmmakers from Nigeria, Kenya, India, US, and Brazil, with the goal to bring in new voices, tackle gender stereotypes, and untangle some of the gender myths. Without any further ado, I'm happy to move over to the trailer that we're going to see for the next 90 seconds.
1, 2, 3.
Eu costumava contar antes de saltar. Esse era o meu jeito de conter todo o medo dentro de mim. Eu nunca me senti tão livre.
Hey! I'm TT. I don't need nobody's help to run my own life. I got the world up on my shoulders and it's all mine. Who wants some rainbow? Me!
Mona!
Hit the game, don't need the player. Make rules, I'll see you later. Hustling, making that paper. Lost a friend and gain a hater.
Do you know where babies come from?
Mona, আমি কি করেছি? এমন বোকাদের মতো ব্যবহার করো না।
I want you to supervise things when I'm not there.
Mona?
Kwani mimi sikukulea vizuri? Sasa ukimwi umepata wapi?
Some women were not meant to be mothers.
I'll destroy you all!
Giving them the queen vibe, queen vibe, queen vibe, vibe.
My name's Faith, and I meant straight.
Giving them the queen vibe, queen vibe, queen vibe, vibe.
শিয়ানা মেয়ে, ও তো একটা ছোট বাচ্চা।
Giving them the queen vibe, queen vibe.
Media doesn't just reflect society, it helps create it. The way gender is represented in media directly influence how people perceive gender norms in real life. When we only see one type of gender expression or behavior, it limits everyone's options. We must ask ourselves, what messages are we receiving from the media? How does it affect our behavior? If media keeps portraying men as dominant and women as passive, we risk reinforcing these rules in our daily lives. We must push for media that portrays a wider range of gender expressions and behaviors.
You a sword, a shield, blue pants. Oh, and I can give you the mustache I wore last Halloween. Oh, come on. So what if you didn't get the role of the princess? Being a knight is awesome. At least you're not playing a tree.
Gender role stereotypes are when a person is expected to act in a certain way based on society's expectations related to their gender. Traditional gender roles go back to a time when there were clear and, at times, unequal rules about how people were expected to act based on their gender. People who were born male were expected to be strong and aggressive, not emotional, and, of course, to love sports. People who were born female were expected to be kind and nurturing, emotional, and domestic, meaning they were all supposed to be able to cook and clean. Gender role stereotypes also affect people's understanding of who is beautiful and who is not. People still go to great lengths to try and conform to these unrealistic ideals they see in popular media. They diet, obsessively exercise, and go through plastic surgery. Additionally, strict stereotypes about gender police people's emotions. Girls are not expected to show anger, and boys aren't supposed to be empathetic, nurturing, or vulnerable. Luckily, as times have changed, so have people's expectations about gender roles.
So what have we learned? Media is just an entertainment, a shape of how we see gender affect and real-life opportunities.
Different media platforms like TV, social media, movies, films, and ads, and of course blogs, all plays a huge role in how gender is being represented. Representation matters.
Exactly. Let's be mindful of the media we consume, support diverse content, and use our voices to promote positive change. We'll have the power of shape the conversations.